Hello, everyone. Happy Friday to you, and good morning from here. And depending on what time zone you are tuning in from, I wish you a good afternoon and good evening. I welcome you to another session of our Forex Morning Mastery as we delve into the final trading day of the week. In today's session, we are going to be reviewing the structural details we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week. And of course, we are also going to be looking into the market dynamics of each of these instruments, where we will be um, trying to understand how market participants are digesting the fundamentals through the use of structural details that reveals itself on the chart. Today promises to be another interesting and insightful edition, considering the fact that today is the final trading day of the week, and we all know how important this is, as final trading days are always known historically to be an opportunity for market participants to start rounding off their trading activities ahead of the weekend. And as a result of this profit taking activities, we may likely see a rebound in the predominant direction in price action, where there is a high chance that price could start moving in the opposite direction of the prior leading price action. So we are going to be taking all of this psychological details into consideration while we review the current market dynamics. So, if you're a fan of any of these assets, that is the USDJPY, the USOILSPOT, and of course the XAUUSD, you do not want to miss out on this session. So stay tuned in, grab your favorite beverages, and stay tuned to your screens. Before we go in, I would like to welcome newcomers in the house. I'm very glad to have you around with us this morning. Trust you all doing very well. My own name is Sheriff Daramola, and we run the Forex Morning Mastery 3 times in a week: Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where we all come together to have a deep understanding of what is going on in the market with the utmost intent of strategically positioning ourselves for the next move. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to engage in the comment section. If you have any questions as regards to the financial market or any of the assets we are discussing, feel free to drop them in the comment section, and trust me, I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So with that being said, here we will be diving right into the business. And of course, the first asset we are going to be looking at this morning is the USOILSPOT. And so far this week, we've done fairly well across through the course of the week. Most of the week we were buying the USOILSPOT. Remember, we had a couple of buy positions at the beginning of the week before that strong bearish momentum came in on Tuesday, taking us out of those positions with a modest size of profit. And during our live session on Wednesday, when we were discussing this current structure, for those who are joining us for the first time, this was the technical detail we identified on our execution time frame. That is the 1 hour time frame. So we saw the situation here. Where are my tools? So we had the situation where price was initially confined within a range that is between the $68.75 level and the $66.90 area. So this was basically our first support line for the week. And considering the fact that this structure here also shares a confluence with that descending trend line we spotted on the 4 hours time frame, on Wednesday we decided to buy the breakout retest of the structure, and look at exactly what happened. A couple of hours into the New York session, we saw price breakout retest the structure. Price still came back yesterday to retest it one more time, and look at what happened. Price moved significantly to the upside, giving us I moved my TP to $68.50 level, and we had price take us out with 160 pips, as you can see here. And since price tested that TP target, price action had continued to consolidate. In fact, if I zoom into the current structure, we can see that our resistant line for the week, which was marked at the $68.75 area, appears to be a crucial juncture now. So we saw price come back into the structure after consolidating for a while, and in the last 3 hours we have been noticing some buy pressure from this area, giving us signs that the momentum might likely continue to the upside. But this is not cast in stone yet, as we will still need some further confirmations before we can say, okay, truly this momentum will go to the upside, because it still has a tendency of selling pressure. Remember, at the beginning of this week, this was more of a selling niche. We saw what happened here on Tuesday, where that's huge engulfing bearish situation happened, and we saw a little bit of strength in the sellers around this area yesterday, and right now price is back into that particular structure. While we are looking out for buying ideas around this area, we cannot ignore the tendencies that sellers can also come into play. Now, while we are trying to decipher what is likely going to happen, that is, what is the chances that buyers are going to be taking on from this area, and of course what are the chances that sellers also have. Now, while I was looking at the fundamentals this morning, I'm beginning to suspect that the momentum might still has a room to climb higher, and thanks to US sanction on Iran, we saw the US Treasury impose fresh sanction targeting Iranian crude oil supply, particularly restricting export to China. And from the look of things, this could cut Iranian export by 1 million barrels per day, reducing global supply. And of course, you know what happens when supply is reduced. There's a tendency for increase in demand, which obviously can drive price higher. Then we also have the latest development as regards the OPEC Plus members, especially Kazakhstan, Iraq, and Russia, where they have set to cut production between 189,000 and 435,000 barrels per day per month until June 2026. This reduction can help balance supply and of course prevent oversupply, that has been driving the price to the downside. Then we also have the geopolitical tension, also the situation in Israel-Gaza conflict, where Israel has escalated ground operations in Gaza, increasing regional instability. Then we also have the continuing targeting of the Houthi rebels by the US military, raising concerns about potential retaliation affecting supplies coming in from the Middle East route. Now, for me, if we look at all of this, and even the Russian-Ukraine situation is still there too as well, and the strong demand from OPEC Plus plant production cuts is also a red flag that price will continue to the upside. Now, the market has already been pricing all of these fundamentals, as this is reflected here with this engulfing move to the upside. Now, the question now is, what path will this uptrend scenario take? Are we going to see price retrace a little bit back into the 68 to continue the upside move, or probably retrace back into the golden zone area before that uptrend scenario happens? While we understand this, this doesn't necessarily mean that the there are no fundamentals that support supply selling momentum here. Of course, we have potential slowdown in the global economy, particularly in China. And remember, China is the largest importer of crude oil. Though we saw the Bank of China planning to inject about, is it 20 million Chinese yuan, or 20 million US dollars, 20 billion US dollars into the economy, so that it can trigger some positivity. And of course, this is a sign that the economy is not doing very well, and if it doesn't, this could put downward pressure on oil prices. So what are our chances here to continue trading the US crude oil? Now, for those of us who still have a buy position running at this point, I will be advising you to move all stop losses at least to the $67.70 area, somewhere around here. Secure the current buy position if you still have your buy position running, while we monitor price action around this area. So what are we going to be looking at today? So in order to trade around the structures, we need to, if there are any signs that OPEC Plus is increasing production faster than expected, or Iran finding ways to bypass sanction, it could increase oil prices, of course. And as a result of this, I want to monitor price action around this particular zone today. Now, to do this, we would like to scale down into the 15 minutes time frame. Let's see if there is any technical structure that can support either an uptrend or downtrend scenario. And of course, this will be giving us an insight into how market participants are reacting, are digesting the fundamentals. So I'm talking about $68.75 level. So let's go down into the 15 minutes time frame. Do we have a structure to work with? So we are talking about the $68.75 level, right? So this is right here. So let's duly mark it out accordingly. So we have the $68.75 level right there. And look at how the last 3 hours we've noticed that sellers are finding it difficult to break through. We had an engulfing bullish candle spring out from this area. We saw price come back into structure, and the last candle here gave us an hammer candle, which theoretically tells us that buyers are still present around this particular area. And besides that, if we go to as far back as yesterday's New York session, we saw how this level was serving as a resistant line at some point before price broke out of the structure during the later part of the New York session to make it a support line. And since this line has been holding in the last 2 to 3 hours, I want to be maintaining a bullish bias. Now, do we have any structural detail here that can help us to navigate this? I think we do. So if we mark out the structures accordingly, we have this connecting the series of lower lows, and then series of lower highs. We have a descending channel to work with. Let me thicken this a little bit. Let me thicken it so to emphasize its importance here. So we have a descending channel to work with around this area. So price has been oscillating around the support line of that descending channel. So at this juncture, do I have a buy position yet? I don't have a buy at the moment, but I would love to place a buy right now. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, I will be placing a buy position on the USOILSPOT right now. So okay, there you go. So I have a buy, and the reason why I'm buying here is basically because of how price has been oscillating around that support line. It could be a platform that could send price going to the upside. Now, the further confirmation of this uptrend will not happen unless we see price breakout retest the resistance line of that descending channel. Then at that point we will be very confident that this uptrend is valid. So if you want to follow my approach, you can buy right away from this particular area. But if you're more of a caution trader, you want to wait for the breakout retest of the resistant line of that descending channel before jumping into any positions. Now, where will our stop loss be for this current buy? So I'm looking at about 25 pips of stop loss here. So we are talking about 67.80 cent level. This is an area where sellers have been finding it difficult to break through, right? So let's see. I have my stop loss placed around that area. So we maintain a bullish bias as long as price remains around that support line of that descending channel. However, if it so happens that sellers come into play, that is, sellers begin to lean towards the potential slowdown in the Chinese economy, which generally could weaken the demand for crude oil, then we could be seeing price breakdown retest this support line here, especially around the $68.75 area. But most importantly, we want to see signs that buyers are finding it difficult to maintain momentum within the descending channel. And of course, this will reflect on the chart as retest of structure, continued selling pressure below the $68.75 level, and that support line to help us inside selling ideas. So let's see how the market will play out. This 15 minutes candle still has about 7 minutes to close, so we will wait for this candle to close and see if it will close in favor of the buyers or of the sellers. Then we can jump into a position here. So the crucial juncture here is the $68.75 area. So I encourage you to mark it out on your chart as we continue to monitor how the market will react to the structure. So let's see what happens, and if there is any updates, which I never mentioned here, I will definitely inform us on my Telegram platform. So that is my simple idea on the US crude oil for today. Like I said, we maintain a bullish bias around this area, looking out for sell only at the breakdown retest of the structure. So I wish us all the best of luck here. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will take about 5-10 seconds. Let's see if there are any questions before we move on to the next asset on our watch list. Stay tuned. All right, so there you have it, my in-depth analysis on the USOILSPOT. So let's see how the market plays out here. I wish us all the best of luck on this one. So moving on to the next asset on our watch list. The next asset we are looking at is the USDJPY, and of course we have a buy position currently running with approximately 60 pips thereabout at the moment, as you can see at the bottom of your screen right now. And thanks to the weak Japanese CPI data, we saw the CPI slowed down in February, with core CPI rising to 3% year on year, slightly above expectations but lower than the previous 3.2%. Now, this has reduced pressure on the Bank of Japan to aggressively tighten monetary policy, hereby weakening the Japanese yen. Then, as a result, we've seen the US dollar gain some traction as the Fed signaled only 2 rate cuts this year, supporting the trajectory to the upside. Now, with that being said, the Fed has also revised its growth outlook downwards and expects only limited easing, keeping the US Treasury bond yield relatively elevated. And you know how the US Treasury bond yield and the US dollar are directly proportional in value. And if the Treasury bond yield is rising, definitely we expect the dollar to also rise. And as a result, we also saw, okay, there was another labor report yesterday. Is it yesterday from the United States? Hold on a second. I think I still have it here. Okay, I think it's on the mid-tier. So let's bring out the filter and let's check medium. Apply the filter. And then, okay, yes, here it is. We have, we saw the initial jobless claim count from yesterday coming at 223,000, higher than the previous month, but a little bit lower than what market participants are expecting. So this, for me, could be a sign that there is strong wage growth in the US, leading to potential inflation, keeping the Fed cautious and supporting the US dollar. And as a result, we've seen how the the US dollar rose in the last 24 hours, keeping the momentum to the upside. However, in as much as the potential is looking bullish, we cannot ignore the fact that the Japanese yen has been very strong this year. If we go to the higher time frame, you will see that the USDJPY has been dropping since the beginning of the year. Let me scale. Okay, so here we are on the 4 hours time frame. Now look at how it has been since the beginning of the year. The price action has consistently found lower lows and lower highs. So as a result of this, we cannot ignore the potentials that sellers to still have a say in this market. And if we look at the fundamentals, we have the Japan's annual wage negotiation, which shows some strong wage growth, and this could also boost inflation and give the Bank of Japan reason to continue tightening policy, maybe in the next couple of months, which we are talking about long-term perspective here. So that is, if you want to trade this asset in the long term, it's more or less bearish, but in the short term, we still keep the bullish perspective open. So for now, we want to be looking for pullbacks towards our 149.00 area. So let's look at the structure here. So this is what we were looking at the beginning of the week. We had this major ascending trend line, which was our yardstick to support the uptrend scenario at the beginning of the week. As you can see here, price respected it multiple times, though we had a breakdown of the structure here on Wednesday, but as you can see, price is back above that trend line. Now the question as we head into today's trading session is whether price will maintain its momentum above the trend line. Of course, you know how we use our trend lines. As long as price remains above them, we shall continue to look out for patterns and structures that support buying ideas. We will only consider selling if price drops below the trend line. Now, if we take into account this impulsive bearish leg that dropped into the 148.150 on Wednesday and consider this all higher highs and higher lows, it may turn out to be a retracement of that bearish impulsive move where the consolidation we see here coincides the downtrend continuation. So we are at a critical juncture right now where whatever structural details evolve here will determine whether we are going to be buying or selling this asset. So are we seeing a double top structure here, or are we seeing a trend continuation pattern? So you can see it's lining up with that trend line. So is it retesting the trend line to continue the downtrend move, or are we going to be seeing price climb to the upside from here? Now, after trying to project where this retracement move could likely culminate, I used my Fibonacci retracement tool to measure this impulsive bearish leg, and look at what I saw here. I can see that price is within our golden zone area between the 78.6 and the 61.8 area, making it a crucial juncture to look out for. So could this be a buy or sell window? So let me just put it here. Buy or sell window, we don't know yet. So we are talking about between the 149.400 and the 149.720. So 149.720. So that is where we are right now. And what are we going to be looking out for in this particular area? So let me scale down into the 15 minutes time frame. I think we have a consolidation happening around that area. So let's see what structure that consolidation is evolving into. So we scale down into the 15 minutes time frame. Now, by the way, we need to move our stop losses right now on the USDJPY sincerely. So I think around the 149.100, we want to give enough breathing space for price action to move around. Let me see, do we have any major event today that is likely going to be influencing the sentiment around this market today? So okay, we really don't have much. We have a couple of speeches President Trump is going to be speaking to today, so there are no economic data to look out for, so we are just going to rely on that on the technical details we have here. So back to the 15 minutes time frame, I think we have a structure gradually evolving here. So we have the support line somewhere around here. Hold on a second. So we have a support line around the 149.290, I think. 149.285, guess. 149.285. So let's mark that level out, 149.285. So we have a support line right here, and then we have a resistant line right here. So bring out my line chart. So we have the resistance around the 149.600. So let me just put it at, round it off. So we have 149.600. Now we have a range bound structure in play. Price has been confined within a range, and whenever we notice this kind of structure, it is a sign that there is a prevailing uncertainty in the market, and it further emphasizes how crucial this juncture is. So you know how we treat our range bound structure. Of course, whenever we identify them, we want to exercise patience and wait for price action to either break out of the resistant line of the range bound structure to give us a signal to start buying, or the breakdown of the support line of that range bound structure for us to start selling. So you can see it lines within that structure we talked about on the 4 hours time frame. So if price can break down the 149.285, we might be seeing the continuation of the downtrend that started on Wednesday. So that means the retracement had culminated, and we are looking at continue a move to the downside. So that is basically how I will be selling the USDJPY today. But if it so happens that price action continues to the upside, breaking out to 149.6, that's the highest level price action has been for this week, obviously we want to be adding more buy position. So I will just place a buy stop order right now above that 149.600 so we can capitalize on the uptrend scenario. So I'll do that right away. Here we go. So I just placed a buy stop order above the 149.6. Then another thing I would like to call our attention to here is how price action has reacted to the support line since the beginning of today's session. Look at this. Sellers have been struggling here, giving us a potential reversal setup. And I think we have a demand as well around this area. So I'll use a different color to emphasize. Okay, so I'll use this. So we are talking about 149.420. I'll explain to you why that is now. 149.420. So now look at this level here. It was buy here, then we saw price broke down the structure, then we saw resistance around this area, and then we can see price just broke out of that level with an engulfing bullish candle. And this level that you see here is right above that ascending trend line we marked out at the beginning of the week. Now what this tells me is that I can look out to maximize the uptrend scenario if price action can break out, retest the 149.420. Now I would want to place another buy stop order here. Let me just raise some buy stop above this area just in case we see price move in that direction. And then we have our stop loss way below the structure. That's about 20 pips of stop loss we are talking about here, which is not bad at all. So 149.230, and here we go. So I placed a buy stop order right now above the structure. So let's see how price is going to play out here. So I maintain a bullish bias on the USDJPY. The fundamentals is supporting the uptrend scenario from an holistic perspective. We had the weak Japanese CPI data. We have currently a strong US dollar demand, and we also have geopolitical tensions, and we have gradual growth in the US economy as well, which further supports the uptrend trajectory here. So that is what I'm looking at today on the USDJPY. And if price drops below the 149.285, taking us out of all our buy position, then at this point we wait for confirmation before jumping into a sell. So this is what we'll be looking at today. So we have a simple structural detail on the 15 minutes time frame to work with. I encourage us all to mark out these levels accordingly on our chart, as we shall be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions today. So I wish us all the best of luck on the USDJPY, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will take the next 5 to 10 seconds off. Let's see if there are any questions before we move on to the final asset on our watch list for today. Stay tuned in. All right. So I think we are good to move on to the final asset on our watch list. Hope you've marked out the structures accordingly. Let's see how the market will react. And mind you, for those who still have a buy position running on the USDJPY, I informed us earlier to move all stop losses. Let's secure the current position while we monitor price action around this ascending trend line. So I wish us all the best of luck. So moving on to the final asset on our watch list. Final asset we are looking at now is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold commodity. And of course, what a wonderful week we have here on this asset. Remember, we have been buying the gold commodity since the beginning of the week, as we saw price action hit another record high at the $3,057-ish, thanks to geopolitical uncertainty, potential Fed rate cuts at the beginning of the week. Remember, we also have trade war fears where Trump's reciprocal tariffs set for April 2nd and existing 25% steel and aluminum tariffs fuel economic uncertainty, potentially driving investors towards the safe haven asset gold commodity. And for those of us who are part of this uptrend scenario, I think I made a couple of updates during the course of the week, sharing some important structures for us on the 15 minutes time frame to help us navigate this market. I don't know if I still have any of them here. So I think I shared some on Wednesday. I shared on Tuesday too as well, helping us navigate this uptrend scenario. I think this is one here where we bought above the 3,038, then added another one above the 3,045. Remember, we saw price hit that record high there, and in the last 24 hours now we notice that price action has been dropping amidst stronger US dollar, where there's been some profit taking ahead of the weekend as investors are cashing in on gold's recent gains, contributing to what I will call a short-term downside pressure going on in the market right now. And if we take all of this into account, that is the recent profit-taking activity, the geopolitical uncertainty, the potential Fed interest rate cut expectations, and tariff war. What are the chances for buyers and sellers around this area? So if we are going to be looking at the gold's reaction in a short-term perspective, I'm looking at the 3,000. Hold on a second. I think I have a new structure to navigate today's trading activity. Yes, I do. So let me pull that out. Hold on a second. I don't know what's taking so long. Okay, so here we have it. So this is my new structure ahead of today's trading session here. So like I was saying earlier, if I'm going to be looking at trading the gold from a short-term perspective, I want to look at the reaction of market participants around the support line at the $3,025 area. As you can see here, this was the same platform that incited that move that hit that all-time record high, and since price tested that record high, we have noticed that same 3,025 level continued to be a support level. As you can see, sellers have been struggling to break through that particular area, giving us signs that buyers are still present around this area. And look at what happened this morning. We saw an engulf. We saw a hammer candle spring out from that particular area, giving me signs that buyers may still be around this area. And this triggered my buy position that you are seeing at the bottom of your screen right now. And if we are looking at things from a medium term, the geopolitical risk could, if escalate, or if the Federal Reserve shifts to a more dovish stance, gold could see renewed bullish momentum to the upside. And from a long-term perspective, the uptrend scenario still remains very strong for me, considering the rate cut expectations. However, if the Fed signals deeper cuts, gold may push towards new high. And of course, if inflation resurfaces and the Fed delays cuts, it could make gold to struggle, and price breaking down the support line at a 3025 level is all I would love to see to consider selling. But at this juncture, price still remains above the 3025 level, so we have no other choice than to maintain a bullish idea at this particular point. So for me to sell, it's only going to be a breakdown retest of the 3025. Now, please be mindful of the words I use here. I said breakdown retest of structure. So if I don't see a breakdown retest of structure, I will not be selling, because a breakdown could turn out to be a false breakdown, just like what we saw here this morning. We saw price break down the structure, but at the end of the day, that candle closed in the shape of a hammer candle, which shows signs that buyers are still present in this market. So at this juncture, we maintain a bullish bias here. We are not selling unless this structure is broken to the downside. And I already have a buy position triggered on the, oh, that buy position has been closed. I think I moved my stop losses. Yes, I did. So what I will do right now is place another buy position right now. So my buy position just closed at break even, the one I took this morning. So I just re-entered another buy position, and the reason I'm doing that is basically the fact that price still remains above the $3,025 level. And look at this trend line. You see here, we saw price break out of the trend line to hit the record high here. Price came back to retest it. We've seen the second retest of structure, which called inside for the uptrend scenario. So I still maintain that bullish bias here on the XAUUSD. Then scaling down into the 15 minutes time frame, I think I have a midterm trading setup here. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. So we have the 3000. Where's the 3025 level here? 3025 level somewhere right here. Okay, so this 3025 level, right? And price still remains above it. And then this area here is the 3020. So for me, I'm still willing to continue my uptrend move from here, the uptrend continuation. And I think we have 3030 somewhere around here, which has also been a support line. So I will place another buy here. All right, I'll place another buy here. Hold on a second, please. I'm trying to... So I'm placing another trade on one of my accounts too as well, which I am managing for a client too as well. I realized that I did not place that trade on that account. So I have a buy on this one, and looking forward to more opportunities if price can continue the uptrend scenario, breaking out of this 3034 area. So we're looking at adding another buy above that structure. So let me place another buy stop order above the structure. I will do that right away so I don't forget. So we place another buy stop order above the 3034 level. So that is how we are going to be maintaining the bullish bias on the XAUUSD. However, if sellers, if the market begin to lean towards bearish expectations, maybe as a result of profit-taking activities ahead of the weekend and the resurgence in buying power of the US dollar, then I will not consider selling unless the support line is breached and broken to the downside. So I would like to see a breakdown, retest of the support line for me to start considering selling the XAUUSD. So that is what I will be doing on my XAUUSD today. So we have a simple trading setup on the 15 minutes time frame to help us navigate this market. So we have selling below the 3025. We just bought right now around the 3030, and we definitely going to be adding more buy at the breakout of the 3034 level to maximize the uptrend scenario. So that is basically what I am looking at on the XAUUSD today. I hope I made myself very clear. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will take about 5-10 seconds off. Let's see if there are any questions before we start rounding off on today's Forex Morning Mastery. All right. So in the absence of none, I guess we are all on the same page. Thank you for listening. I hope I made a lot of sense today, and I'm really grateful for how the week has gone for us, especially the first half of the week where we did very well, and of course we were part of that uptrend move on the gold commodity that hit another record high. Congratulations to everyone who was part of these opportunities. So as we go into the final trading day of the week, we were able to review all of the assets we've been monitoring since the beginning of the week. That is the USOILSPOT, the USDJPY, and of course the XAUUSD. And interestingly, we were able to identify simple trading setups that we are going to be using to help us navigate the market today. And of course, I do hope that you are part of the analysis session. I hope you were able to mark out the structures accordingly as we have suggested. But if you did miss out on those sessions, don't worry, you have the opportunity of rewatching the live stream again after the end of this video. So it's on this notes I would love to, and for those who joined us for the first time, I hope you are able to gain one or two things from what we have discussed here today. If you did, you want to be part of our subsequent editions, trust me, the more time you spend with us, the better you get to comprehend my analytical approach. And if you are yet to subscribe to the channel, please do right away. I will be sharing my ideas, my plans for next week on this platform. So click on the like button so you can get notified as soon as I drop the video. Then we shall be doing the Forex market prep on Sundays. We usually do that every Sundays in preparation for the new week, and it's an opportunity for you to submit whatever asset you want me to analyze. We will be identifying entry levels for either buy or sell, TP targets, stop loss levels, and of course risk reward ratios on all of this trade. And remember, it's a swing trading approach, so join me on Wednesday during the Forex market prep and let's analyze the market and get prepared for the new week together. So it's on this note I would like to wish us all the best of luck today. Trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful day. Bye.